Welcome back to our channel on this beautiful Thursday. We have an explosive lineup of General Hospital updates that will leave your jaw on the floor, so let's dive straight into the heart-pounding drama unfolding in Port Charles today. The absolute biggest shocker of the day kicks off with a catastrophic, blood-boiling confrontation right behind the walls of General Hospital. Sonny Corinthos, the undisputed mob kingpin of Port Charles, accidentally stumbles upon a sight that instantly sets his legendary temper ablaze. In a completely unguarded and highly public moment, Carly Spencer and Valentine Cassadine are caught locked in a passionate, undeniable kiss. For Sonny, witnessing his ex-wife intimately entangled with a dangerous, scheming Cassadine is the ultimate trigger. The sheer audacity of their public display of affection sends Sonny into an immediate, territorial tailspin, and he wastes absolutely no time launching a furious, aggressive verbal assault on the woman he once called his wife. Sonny storms over, his eyes practically shooting daggers, and issues a dark, uncompromising warning to Carly. He demands that she immediately sever all ties with Valentine before the Cassadine brings a tidal wave of lethal trouble straight to her doorstep. But anyone who knows Carly Spencer knows she does not take orders, especially not from her ex-husband. Carly fiercely stands her ground, her eyes blazing with defiance as she fires back at Sonny. She makes it crystal clear that her romantic life is absolutely none of his business anymore. Carly boldly declares that she is not changing her mind, completely rejecting his pushy, domineering advice and cementing her dangerous alliance with Valentine. However, Sonny Corinthos is not a man who simply walks away when he is defied. The absolute refusal from Carly only fuels his determination to rip her and Valentine apart by any means necessary. According to the latest explosive summer spoilers, Sonny is preparing to go to extreme, ruthless lengths to ensure this romance is completely obliterated. He is actively planning to unleash his ultimate fixer, Brick, to launch a covert sabotage mission designed to systematically break Carly and Valentine up. The stakes are sky high, and Sonny is fully prepared to play dirty, setting the stage for a massive, high-stakes war between the mob boss, his defiant ex-wife, and the lethal Cassadine heir. Meanwhile, a completely different kind of nightmare is unfolding inside the sterile, quiet corridors of General Hospital. Lucas Jones is currently trapped in a suffocating spiral of grief, trauma, and absolute devastation. Following a series of horrifying revelations, Lucas is found completely out of it, desperately trying to sleep off a brutal, agonizing hangover on a random couch in a dark GH office. The sheer weight of the truth has completely shattered his reality, leaving him drowning in a toxic cocktail of alcohol and unbearable guilt. Lucas has just endured the most traumatic day of his entire life, having finally discovered the sickening, twisted truth about the death of Marco Rios. The horrifying reality is that Marco died for absolutely nothing. Lucas recently had a deeply emotional, gut-wrenching conversation with his aunt, Ava Jerome, where he unloaded the terrifying details he learned from Jocelyn Jacks. The sinister Ross Cullum had completely fabricated Britt Westbourne's Huntington's disease diagnosis. Cullum had ruthlessly gaslighted Britt, manipulating her into injecting herself with syringes completely filled with harmless saline, making her believe she was rapidly deteriorating and dying. The cruel, psychological torture inflicted upon Britt was nothing more than a sick, twisted game, and Marco Rios paid the ultimate, fatal price for getting caught in the crossfire of this monumental deception. The guilt eating away at Lucas is absolutely relentless and entirely consuming. He's viciously beating himself up, replaying every single moment in his head. Lucas was the one who pushed Marco, convincing the young man to steal the saline to reverse engineer it. Lucas desperately wanted Marco to prove that he was not in league with his evil, criminal father, Jen Sidwell. Marco took that fatal risk solely to prove his loyalty and his goodness to Lucas, and it cost him his life. The realization that Marco was murdered over a completely fake illness, over literal salt water, is a psychological burden that is tearing Lucas apart from the inside out. As Lucas tosses and turns in his alcohol-fueled nightmare, the office door quietly opens, and Elizabeth Baldwin steps into the room. Liz, always the compassionate anchor, finds her friend in this completely broken, shattered state. As the light hits his face, Lucas violently startles awake. His grief instantly morphs into a raw, defensive hostility. With his bloodshot eyes darting and his voice cracking with raw emotion, he glares at Liz and aggressively demands, "What are you doing here?" The explosive tension in that room is palpable, setting the stage for a heartbreaking, emotionally charged confrontation as Liz attempts to pull Lucas back from the absolute brink of despair. Across town, a massive, career-defining ultimatum is being dropped squarely into the lap of Molly Lansing Davis. ADA Justine Turner, still deeply scarred and traumatized by her horrifying ordeal as a hostage, corners Molly with a proposition that will completely alter the trajectory of her entire life. Justine looks Molly dead in the eye and delivers a monumental offer, forcing the brilliant young attorney to make an incredibly difficult, agonizing decision. Molly is currently packing her bags, vibrating with excitement as she prepares to embark on a glamorous, highly anticipated book tour alongside Cody Bell to promote her brand new novel. It is a dream come true, a chance to step out of the courtroom and into the literary spotlight. But Justine Turner is about to throw a massive wrench into those exciting plans. Justine aggressively challenges Molly, demanding to know what she truly values more, promoting her fictional book or prosecuting the absolute biggest, most dangerous legal case of her entire career. Justine explicitly wants Molly to take the lead on the prosecution of the monstrous Jen Sidwell. Because Justine was a direct victim of Sidwell's violent kidnapping plot, she is legally and ethically barred from prosecuting the case herself. She needs a shark, she needs a brilliant legal mind, and she wants Molly to step up to the plate and put the criminal mastermind behind bars for good. This impossible choice leaves Molly completely paralyzed with indecision. She is being violently torn between her personal aspirations, her blooming romance and tour with Cody Bell, and her fierce, undeniable dedication to the law. Prosecuting Jen Sidwell would instantly catapult Molly into the legal stratosphere, cementing her legacy as a powerhouse attorney in Port Charles. But it would mean completely abandoning her book tour and diving headfirst into a dark, dangerous, and highly stressful legal war against a man who has already proven he is capable of extreme violence. Which path will Molly choose, and what will be the ultimate fallout of her monumental decision? Meanwhile, the luxurious Metro Court Gardens serve as the backdrop for a completely different kind of legal bloodbath that is rapidly brewing. Isaiah Gannon is sitting across the table from the notoriously ruthless, sharp-as-a-tack attorney, Rick Lansing. Rick is leaning forward, his eyes narrowed, intensely absorbing every single word that falls from Isaiah's lips. Isaiah is not just looking for a casual legal consultation. He is preparing to launch a massive, two-pronged legal assault that will send absolute shockwaves through the Ashford family. Isaiah officially informs Rick that he wants to retain him as his defense counsel for the upcoming car wreck case, but that is only the tip of the iceberg. The true bombshell drops when Isaiah reveals his secondary, far more destructive agenda. He looks Rick in the eye and declares that he wants to aggressively explore the possibility of a massive, financially devastating civil suit against Curtis Ashford. Isaiah is out for pure, unadulterated vengeance. He intends to sue Curtis for severe pain and suffering, and most importantly, for the catastrophic loss of his livelihood. The root of this explosive legal warfare stems from a shocking, violent altercation that left Isaiah severely injured. The physical damage to Isaiah's hand is profound, directly threatening his ability to function in his highly demanding medical career, and he places the blame squarely on the broad shoulders of Curtis Ashford. The flashback to that fateful, violent moment is absolutely chilling. Curtis Ashford, completely blinded by a sudden, unhinged surge of jealous rage, had gone totally ballistic. He had walked in to find Isaiah gently feeling Portia Robinson's pregnant stomach, feeling the new baby kick. It was a beautiful, innocent moment, and most importantly, it was entirely Portia's autonomous decision to allow Isaiah to share in that joy. Portia is no longer Curtis's wife, and she has every right to dictate who interacts with her and her unborn child. But Curtis completely lost his mind, roaring that it was his baby, and unleashed a brutal, catastrophic punch that literally lifted Isaiah off his feet. The sheer force of Curtis's violent slug sent Isaiah crashing violently into a nearby table, resulting in the grievous, potentially career-ending injury to his hand. Now, the chickens are coming home to roost. Rick Lansing, smelling blood in the water like a great white shark, is fully prepared to take Isaiah's case and financially ruin Curtis. The civil suit promises to be a highly publicized, incredibly ugly spectacle that will drag all of their personal drama, jealousy, and violent outbursts straight into the unforgiving light of a civil courtroom. Curtis Ashford is about to face the absolute legal fight of his life, and Rick Lansing is holding the weapon. Speaking of Curtis Ashford, his nightmare is compounding by the second. Across town, Jordan Ashford tracks Curtis down and immediately corners him with urgent, hard-hitting questions regarding his rapidly deteriorating legal situation. The criminal charges hanging over Curtis's head are severe, and the walls are closing in fast. Jordan looks at him with deep concern and demands to know, What kind of deal are they offering? The reality of the situation is incredibly grim. The prosecution is circling, and Curtis is being forced to heavily consider a highly controversial plea bargain to avoid a massive, life-destroying sentence. Curtis is currently staring down the terrifying barrel of a brief but incredibly dangerous stint in Pentonville. With a brand new baby on the way and his entire life hanging in the balance, the pressure is absolutely suffocating. Jordan pushes Curtis to realize that the clock is rapidly ticking down to zero. He needs to make a definitive decision about the plea deal immediately. Furthermore, with Rick Lansing now officially gunning for him in civil court on behalf of Isaiah, Curtis desperately needs to hire a powerhouse defense attorney of his own. If Curtis foolishly attempts to represent himself in this massive, multi-front legal war, he will be completely slaughtered. The race is on for Curtis to find legal representation before Rick and the DA completely destroy his future. Finally, the political and legal landscape of Port Charles is shifting once again as Mayor Laura Collins reunites with her slick, highly intelligent older brother, Martin Gray. Martin has finally returned to town after being away for several long, dramatic months, and his arrival could not possibly have come at a better time. Laura warmly catches up with her brother, but the pleasantries are incredibly short-lived. Laura immediately shifts into protective grandmother mode, revealing that she has a highly sensitive, incredibly urgent job for him. While Laura has officially secured a massive victory over the villainous Jen Sidwell, the devastating fallout from that war is still actively threatening her family. Laura confides in Martin that there are severe, looming legal issues threatening her grandchildren, specifically targeting her beloved grandson, Rocco Falconeri. Rocco is currently trapped in a massive legal nightmare regarding the shooting of the dangerous WSB operative, Ross Cullum. With Rick Lansing now completely tied up representing Isaiah Gannon and dealing with a massive caseload of his own, Rick is absolutely unavailable to help Rocco. Laura is desperately turning to Martin, pleading with him to step up, take the case, and use his brilliant legal maneuvers to save Rocco from spending his youth behind bars. Martin is officially back in the game, and the stakes have never been higher. With Sonny unleashing Brick to destroy Carly's romance, Lucas drowning in grief over Marco's pointless death, Molly facing the ultimate career ultimatum, and Curtis staring down a massive civil suit and a stint in Pentonville, the drama in Port Charles is reaching an absolute boiling point. Will Molly abandon Cody to prosecute Sidwell? Will Rick Lansing successfully bankrupt Curtis Ashford? And will Sonny's ruthless sabotage completely destroy Carly and Valentine's passionate new romance?